Would you be okay with your friend doing business with your enemy?
You asking me?
Yeah.
I can't go to the Max B party because you're my friend. Yeah.
Why?
Because you my friend, nigga.
What?
Yeah.
When Maino stepped out and publicly showed love to Max B, the whole vibe shifted instantly, because that wasn't a random or harmless move. In hip-hop, choosing a side in a long-running situation is never just casual commentary. It's a strategy. And that choice applied real pressure on Jim Jones, reopening scars that never fully closed. The streets picked up on it right away. This wasn't some light shout-out or feel-good post. It came off like a declaration. Loyalty, history, and accountability wrapped together. The Max B situation has always carried weight in the culture. Years went by, narratives evolved, alliances shuffled, but that underlying tension never really left. When Maino finally spoke, it didn't feel like recycled blog chatter. It sounded like somebody who'd been observing in silence and chose that exact moment to speak. And in hip-hop, timing is everything. This timing, it echoed loudly.
Let me explain something to you. I'm a loyal nigga at the end of the day. Before music, let me tell you something. Let me explain something to you, David. Mr. David.
Dawood. I'm Dawood on this podcast.
I like that.
It's crazy.
My Muslim brother. Check this out. At the end of the day, I'm a person that your enemies is my enemies, because that's the love that I got for you. If we like that, then I'm gonna take on whatever it is that you got going on, and it's them, then I gotta feel the same way.
Mayo didn't tiptoe around it. He didn't try to play mediator. He didn't smooth it out to keep everybody comfortable. He stood on Max B's name with full clarity, and clarity hits different when the history behind it is complicated. In street logic, being that direct means you're prepared for the fallout. That's why the reaction came fast. The fans understood the weight immediately. Supporting Max B isn't just about showing love. It forces people to revisit old loyalties, old choices, and old power dynamics. And with Jim Jones tied into that chapter, it was bound to spark something. The second Mayo spoke that plainly, the internet didn't ask why he said it. They started asking why he said it that boldly.
I understand that I got a relationship with him. So my whole thing is this. I really understand that I don't come from the same world a lot of people come from. If I got a relationship with you that extends past professionalism and it's personal, I'm at your home and I know your parents, right? I just don't feel right if you at odds with somebody else, right? Knowing that we got a personal relationship, going out my way to go congregate or party with them, right? Now, that's a choice. Seeing them somewhere else is not, right? Because two things can be true at the same time. I can respect my relationship that I got with you, but at the same time, it don't mean no disrespect to somebody else. It means that I'm just clear on where I stand.
What really made this hit different is that Mayo usually stays disciplined in drama-heavy arenas. He's built a reputation for picking his moments carefully, so when he picked this one, that screamed purpose. The streets value intention way more than random noise. This wasn't a clout grab, this was a boundary being set. And when you draw boundaries in public, they don't just disappear. They demand replies, responses, and people rethinking old positions. The culture instantly started digging up old footage, past interviews, and long-standing narratives. The Max B saga doesn't stand alone. It's woven into Dipset history, Harlem street politics, and deeper industry chess moves. Maino reopening that chapter felt like he was challenging the version of the story people had grown comfortable with. And when comfortable narratives get questioned, turbulence follows. That's exactly what unfolded, not because anyone was yelling, but because loyalty was involved. And loyalty, that cuts deeper than straight disrespect.
Dawood. I'm Dawood on this podcast.
I like that.
It's crazy.
My Muslim brother. Check this out. At the end of the day, I'm a person that your enemies is my enemies, because that's the love that I got for you. If we like that, then I'm gonna take on whatever it is that you got going on, and it's them, then I gotta feel the same way.
As Maino's stance started circulating across social media, the streets immediately began dissecting what publicly backing Max B actually signified in this moment, and the weight of it intensified by the minute. This wasn't about legal appeals or reopening paperwork, it was about choosing a moral side. In hip-hop culture, moral positioning often carries more weight than detailed explanations. Max B has long represented raw brilliance cut short. His name still triggers emotion, tension, and the sense of unfinished chapters. Standing with him publicly is not neutral, it signals faith. And faith naturally forces people to re-examine past decisions made by those who once had power around them. That's exactly why Jim Jones felt the pressure instantly. The streets didn't pause for clarification, they didn't require a press release. Maino's stance spoke loudly on its own, and when something is that direct, it removes wiggle room. That's why the reaction wasn't gradual, it was immediate. Fans argued over whether Maino was justified, but that argument overlooked the deeper layer. The real story was about boldness. Addressing this publicly meant risking backlash, strained ties, and long memories. Maino understood that. It also highlighted how accountability in hip-hop has evolved. Years ago, these tensions would have stayed behind closed doors. Now everything unfolds in public view, and once it's public, silence gets interpreted and responses get demanded. Maino didn't point fingers outright, but he didn't shield anyone either. That balance amplified the moment. He spoke with conviction instead of aggression, and conviction carries further than anger ever could. Seeing Jim Jones trend alongside Max B again wasn't random. It was a ripple effect. In street culture, consequences don't wait for verdicts. They surface in dialogue, energy shifts, and perception. This also reminded everyone that time doesn't erase accountability. Seasons change, careers grow, but unresolved history lingers. And when someone brings it back to the forefront, the culture pays attention. Maino backing Max B felt bigger than a personal statement. It read like a signal to the industry at large. Loyalty has no expiration date. Memory doesn't just disappear, and staying quiet doesn't always shield you. That's why it resonated so strongly. It wasn't loud theatrics, but it was solid. And solid statements weigh more than jokes or emotional rants. As the discussion deepened, it became obvious this wasn't just about three individuals. It was about how hip-hop archives its past. Maino's decision forced people to reconsider how narratives get polished over time. What once sparked controversy can become normalized when left unchallenged. Maino challenged it. The streets live by a simple code. Whoever shapes the story shapes the memory. By aligning with Max B, Maino disrupted a version of events that had grown comfortable. Comfort leads to silence. Silence allows revision. This moment also underscored strategic timing. Maino didn't jump in during peak chaos. He chose to speak at a time when the culture was already side-eyeing credibility and consistency. That timing magnified everything. Fans picked up on the fact that his tone wasn't emotional or explosive. It was controlled, and controlled statements hit harder than heated ones. Anger feels like a moment. Calm feels like a decision. The Max B story has always carried emotional gravity, especially for supporters who viewed him as a rare talent interrupted too soon. Maino tapped into that feeling without milking it for drama, which made his position land as authentic. Meanwhile, Jim Jones found himself tied back to a chapter he's worked hard to outgrow. That's the reality of history. You can delay it, but you can't delete it. This also exposed how loyalty in hip-hop isn't transactional for everybody. Some artists operate from principle rather than personal gain. Maino backing Max B didn't come with a check attached, it came with credibility. And in the streets, credibility outweighs viral moments. Viral fades, credibility lasts. The situation didn't spiral into threats or shouting, it turned into introspection, and introspection forces hard conversations. Hard conversations linger. This wasn't the start of a feud, it was pressure applied at the right spot, and pressure changes dynamics. That's why this felt bigger than trending topics. It felt like movement.
By the time the dust settled, Maino's decision had already redirected the narrative. Whether people liked it or not, no diss tracks surfaced, no public blow-ups followed, yet the tension stayed in the air, and tension means impact. The streets didn't interpret it as chasing attention, they read it as alignment. Alignment with loyalty instead of convenience. Alignment with memory instead of rewriting history. Alignment with speaking up when it counts rather than when it's comfortable. Jim Jones didn't suddenly fall off, but the scrutiny intensified. Once old chapters reopen, they rarely close quietly again. They hover. This moment reminded everyone that hip-hop history is never sealed. It's living. Anyone can revisit it, and when they do, the culture reacts. Maino didn't seek approval. He declared his position, And planting your flag publicly in this era requires real backbone. The lesson here isn't simply about sides. It's about recognizing that silence isn't always neutral. Sometimes silence shields narratives that deserve examination. By the time the chatter cooled, it was obvious Maino backing Max B wasn't just another passing headline. It altered the tone of the discussion entirely. No diss records dropped, no yelling matches erupted, no immediate rebuttal flipped the script, and that quiet carried its own weight. In hip-hop, when noise peaks and then suddenly stills, it usually means something struck deeper than expected. This wasn't spectacle, it was pressure settling into place. The streets didn't label Maino's move as trend hopping. They saw it as alignment. Alignment with loyalty over convenience. Alignment with memory over revision. Alignment with principle over comfort. In a climate where many choose neutrality to protect alliances, taking a clear stance, especially in something this layered, stands out fast. Neutral feels secure, but it also feels hollow. Maino chose clarity, and clarity, that forces movement whether people are ready for it or not. What made this moment feel heavy is that it cracked open a chapter a lot of folks were comfortable leaving sealed. Over time, stories get polished, rough edges get smoothed out, and accountability starts fading into gray areas. The culture moves forward, and silence slowly starts looking like agreement. Maino interrupted that cycle. He didn't scream accusations, but he also refused to act like he forgot. And in a culture built on long memory, refusing to forget is power. For Jim Jones, this wasn't about losing status overnight. It was about pressure resurfacing. Pressure from questions that don't come with simple explanations. Pressure from supporters who now feel validated revisiting old concerns. Pressure from the reality that once someone credible shines light on the past, it doesn't stay in the dark. In hip-hop, growth is real, reinvention is real, but unfinished history has a way of circling back. The culture didn't require unanimous agreement with Maino. Agreement was never the objective. The objective was disruption. Disrupting the idea that certain narratives are permanently settled. Disrupting the comfort that time creates. Disrupting the assumption that quiet means harmony. That's why this won't just fade away. Not because of drama, but because of symbolism. Loyalty being examined publicly, memory being reactivated, history being questioned instead of blindly accepted. Those moments echo longer than any viral clip. At its core, this wasn't about choosing sides for clicks. It was about choosing truth over convenience. And in a culture where convenience usually dominates, truth always stands out. If you've been locked in from start to finish, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next story the streets are about to dissect.